Hello, everybody. I'm sorry that I use this every day as a mirror. It's a bad habit. It is. Hi, it's Nikki. Yeah, I get ready with you guys, because so you can see the whole thing. Because let me tell you, this is a little bit of a process. Every day, it's pouring here on Long Island. Absolutely. I think if I can show you, hold on, let's see. Can I do it? Can I? Yeah, can you guys see that? Crazy is that torrential downpours. The dryer has to come off because there is too much noise. Too much noise here on Long Island. It is pouring. My guest is here. I can't wait to bring in Rachel Robinson from Challenge, Real World. I mean, some of my favorite shows. Hello. I feel like I'm watching TV when I was in high school again.
Aww.
Because you have been on my TV for you're the best. That's why I just have to start with that.
Oh, Nikki. I'm so happy to connect with you.
Oh no, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Now I can. I'll tell you why. Because My Father's Eyes by Eric Clapton was playing.
Okay. Got it.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm as good as can be, I guess. It's so much going on, but
I know. Where are you?
Where am I right now? I'm in Miami. So we're in Miami. We've been here obviously quarantined, but now we're kind of, Miami's Florida. So we're probably gonna be like the first state out, like Georgia,
Really?
And yeah, we're getting back to gyms are opening up and people are eating at restaurants, You're in LA, right?
I'm in New York, actually.
Oh, nice.
Long Island, to be exact.
So where in New York?
Long Island. So
Oh.
I'm originally from Great Neck, but I live in a place called Franklin Square. It's nice. Right now it's insane. It's just pouring, like coming down in buckets.
Really?
Yeah,
I can hear it actually.
I'll show you. I'm sitting in my
wow.
room, and it's just because we have one of these Florida rooms, ironically, in New York. I don't know why.
Well, yeah, I hear New York is crazy. Like I've talked to some of my friends and they're just, if they're even in New York, they're just like, it's wild. And I mean, you're in Long Island, so you're at least.
There's been some stuff here. There's been some amazing protests that I went to. There have been some, but then there have been some areas like here we have some place called the Americana, which is like Fendi, Gucci, Prada, all the places I don't go to. And
yeah.
They're in there and they had to board it up because it got really badly looted.
Yeah.
So it's been, New York has definitely been an interesting place, I would say, since about April.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, the pandemic mixed with the racial, uprise of everything. It's like people just don't have that much to lose. They either have no job, they don't feel supported by their government, and, people are just they just don't really, I think a lot of people don't feel like they have that much to lose. So they just, do whatever it is that they feel is, I don't know. I like to separate, of course, the looters and the rioters from the protesters. There's so much positive going on. We just won Georgia Senate. I'm so excited. I mean, I don't know if this is a political thing, but I'm so into it. And,
talk about whatever you talk about on this platform.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just hoping that people keep up the momentum going into all the elections coming up, because I think if we keep up the momentum and people keep it at the forefront, then we will take the Senate and we will take back the White House,
Agreed. Well, everybody wants to just be well, this is what's wrong with the world and this is what needs to happen, but we're not no, you have to get up and vote. You got to do something about it, because if you want to see a change, you have to make it happen.
I mean, the worst thing I see online lately, and this is from some, I follow a lot of the cast members from the show that I did, and they'll put up negative things. Like, it's like choosing between a devil and a demon. And I'm like, you are not helping the cause at all right now by putting down the side of the party that's at least trying to create some change, you know, or at least trying to like create gun reform, or, you know, keep women's rights intact, or, you know, justice reform. It's like, you're not helping by encouraging people to just think that there is no better side here. So,
well, can I
you
tell
know,
you a story?
yeah,
I'll be forthright with this. You know, there's been a lot of things in the media and everything, obviously, right now. It's an overwhelming time with just the massive amount of social media and memes, and there's something to post every single second, which is great, which means that people are opening their eyes and things are being heard and messages are being passed on. But I saw one person, and I'm not going to name names because that's not my style, but there was a picture of a gun on their bed, and they
yeah,
were insinuating, saying like something about some type of violence. I lost my uncle to suicide by gun.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I asked this person to kindly remove themselves from my show list. Actually, not remove themselves, I removed them.
Good.
I am not about to sit here and sit and watch people. It's already a hard enough time as it is. My God, you're going to insinuate more violence in the world when you have a platform yourself?
That's what I think too. I think
How
people who have
disgusting.
people who have platforms right now, and you know, one of the things that I think is happening, which I am in favor of, is that there are some consequences happening to people who have made, you know, really poor choices. Now, do I think we should go and scavenger up like 10 years ago, and if someone's saying that they've changed for the better, go and hold them accountable? I mean, that's, you know, it's not for me to say necessarily, but that's not what I'm into. I'm saying right now, if anybody is doing something that's creating negative energy, or, you know, fueling the fire, or, you know, whatever it is, I think if you're on a platform with MTV, with Bravo, with, you know, Hairspray, with everything, you know, you've got to take responsibility. And if that means that you lose your contract and you're no longer on TV, or you're no longer on Broadway, or you're no longer doing something, it's like that's the consequence right now. And I think that there should be consequences, because for too long we've been sweeping what people do under the rug and saying, oh, it was a joke, or it's just doesn't mean anything, or they're just trying to be funny. Yeah, and it's like, you know, like, it's not that big of a deal. And it's like, yes, it is a big deal. And you know, people are watching, and we are influencers in some degree. And that's why I try to be so careful with, you know, I don't have to be careful though, because what I say and what I do is naturally the way I feel. And I feel that, you know, I feel that I am on the right side of history in this moment, you know, whether it be women's rights, or gay rights, or, you know, people of color. It's like, I've always been in the corner of those people. So, you know, I just hope that things change for the better. I know for like our TV show specifically that I was on in the past, you know, I've put it out there. Like I had a few comments on some cast member stuff where I said, you know, I hope that MTV and Bunim and Murray and all these people that are behind these shows really put their mouth, you know, where they're at right now, because where their money, where their mouth is. Because if you really want to create change, then you cast more than just one gay cast member. You cast more than just, you know, one woman who, you know, will rock the boat, but kind of be standing alone. Do you know what I mean? There's always like that one strong woman that wants to go against the grain. And then everyone's like, we're not going to stand with you because you don't have the numbers in the game, you know? Or like, you know, there's always,
Hey, look,
you know, or there's just two people of, what?
I haven't always had the numbers.
Yeah.
But I've always been a little woman on a mission, and, you know, I'm not about to let anybody take me down. And I was just talking to my mother earlier, and I said to her, this damn dryer, have you ever in your life, it's unbelievable. Like, it doesn't stop. No, that's the wash. Let me fix this. My father picks the worst time to do laundry. And I kept saying, what is running? Why do I hear that? What is happening? I'll tell you
so funny because I'm running around telling my kids, and I'm like, I gotta get in the right spot for this Zoom, you know? Like I'm like trying my best to find the right spot in my house.
Over here.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. It's real, you know? It's super real right now. It's still going?
No,
I can't hear it. If it makes you feel any better, I can't hear it.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel a little better. But what I was telling my mother was I'm writing a book about my life. And she said, wow, some of the stuff you're talking about is probably intense. And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, you know, you got to be careful with what you say. Because she's a mom. I said, Mom, if you tell the truth, then nobody can do bullshit.
I agree.
So why am I going to write a book if I'm not going to be forthcoming and just let it out?
I agree. I think in life in general, like as long as you tell your truth or, you know, the truth, then it always is the right story. There can never be a retraction of it or a change up where you don't remember it the way that you were told it in the first place. Like anytime I've grown up, I mean, I've learned that the hard way, but anytime I've tried to lie in my life about something little or, you know, like to pass, you know, when you're in like young relationships and you do something wrong or whatever, it's like I always put my foot in my mouth like a week later by saying something that doesn't make sense with what I said before.
Well, I have that. See, I am half Jewish. I have that Jewish guilt in me.
Yeah.
I cannot not feel bad, and it's a wonderful thing. But I cannot lie at all.
Yeah.
At all.
I mean, I'm pretty much the same way. What'd you say?
But yet I'm an actor and I lie for a living, so I don't really know how that works out.
Well, I guess like, you know, you would like justify it. You're like, this is obviously the way I'm creating a life for myself.
Well, I have to say I've always respected you because you've created a life for yourself after the real world and the challenge and all of that. I mean, you have 3 kids.
I know, it happened quick. My mom was always like the kind of mom, like the Jewish mom that was like, as soon as I hit, like it was really young too, probably when I hit like 25, she was like, when are you gonna have kids? When are you gonna have kids? And it was like every year, you know? And then when I had kids, it was like literally 3 in 2 years. And I was like, are you happy now, Ma? Because like, now she's like, she comes over and she's like, you know, she'll be over for like 2 hours and she's like, I gotta go. And I'm like, this is everything you wanted. But yes, the kids are great. I mean, I always wanted to be a mom. That was something that was like, so, you know, something I always wanted. And even though I was gay and I knew it would be, you know, there'd be some things to figure out, I knew that was in my, that was what I wanted in my life. And it just so happens that when it happens, it's like, it happens so quickly, I guess, you know, in terms of just the blessing of the twins. And then my wife got pregnant and she had our daughter. And
pregnant at the same time, right?
No, we weren't pregnant at the same time. The kids are 14 months apart. So I had the boys in October, and then the following year in December, Natalie had Ari. And, you know, they're all, I haven't actually really ever said this, but I don't know. I feel like, why not, Nikki? I mean, they're all siblings, half siblings. So it's all with the same donor. And yeah, it's been such a blessing. Like they're just, people always ask, oh my God, you know, people try to kind of say to you, how are you doing it through quarantine with 3 kids under 3? And or under 2, actually, they're 2.5, the boys. And I'm like, or under 3. They're like, I'm like, it's amazing. Like there's nothing I can complain about. You know, I knock on wood, Kanayahara every day. Like, thank God, you know, we have them and they keep you busy. They keep you entertained. They bring so much love. And in a time like this, it's so nice to have kids because they know nothing of it. They're too young. And to them, the world is still beautiful. Yeah. So it's kind of beautiful to see the world through their eyes right now. And, you know, it's been great.
I love that. And I mean, in my book, I actually write, like, this is probably not the book. Here we go again. You shitting me? This is, how is it? This is not possible. It's not possible. Like, I think it's turning itself on because my hands are here. Like, this is ridiculous. It's the Rainforest Cafe outside.
I know.
And
Can I tell you though that growing up, Hairspray was my favorite movie, like growing up. So when you reached out to me, I was like, of course. What'd you say?
Can I tell you that it's pretty much my real life? It's constant. My real life is just moving parts all day long. I don't really know how anything gets done, but it's a miracle.
Good.
But I mean, with the real world, how did that come about? How did you hear about
the real world? I was in my first semester of college, and I don't know, I kind of had this itch to just do more. Like, I was in college, but I was kind of bored and going through the motions. I was doing really well in college, surprisingly, because I wasn't really a scholar in high school, but I got into college and I got really into studying, and I was doing really well. And anyway, I went to an audition, and the audition turned into the next audition, and that audition turned into the next round, and that audition turned into the next round. And by the time the semester was over, they basically told me, you're leaving for the show in February. And this was probably in maybe like, I think it was the end of the semester. So it was maybe like December or something like that. And I literally just went online, dropped all the classes I had scheduled for the following semester, packed up my car, drove home, and my life didn't stop with TV following that season. For the next probably 8 years, I was on television pretty consistently. So I did my original show. And then when I went home from my original show, they were like, don't get too comfortable. You're going to be on the next challenge, or you're going to be on the challenge. And I was like, okay. Like, I was so excited. I mean, I was 19. Yeah. What?
You are like one of the fiercest competitors I've ever seen. Holy shit, woman. I am blown away by you every time. I've always been like, see, as Hairspray was for you in high school, the real world and the challenge was, I was watching on the set of Hairspray with my friends.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I am so competitive, but there is a downfall to that, in the sense that when it doesn't go your way, it's like heart-wrenching for me. You know what I mean? Like, I still to this day have just like nightmares about some of the choices I made, that especially in like a last season I did, where I just didn't make the right strategic choice. And I say to myself, I can't believe, so there's an upside and a downside when you're that competitive. Yes, the show is great for you, but it also can really, and I think it probably breaks everyone's heart. I'm actually watching for the first time ever in the last forever years. I'm watching the current season. And it's just interesting to me because it's just like storylines have not changed. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could go back 6 years, watch a challenge, and be like, this is the same thing. Like, there's always this couple that hooks up, and then, there's, the guy. It's just nothing really changes, which is my point which is the point going back to that they have to start changing things. They have to stop casting the same people that they know run the energy in the house, so there's always like the top guy, right? And then he's the most competitive, and he's the loudest, and he's won in the past, so everyone's scared, and then they kind of create the energy in the house. So if the energy is created by someone in a negative way, it goes down the whole house. Like, I can tell you the season I won, which was the duel, which is probably my most memorable season in terms of winning, because just everything went my way in that season. The overall energy in that house was amazing. Nobody on that season can say they didn't have a good time, unless you were like CT and you took Adam's face off in the first 2 weeks or week. But like, other than that fight, we had such nice energy. We danced, we laughed. Like, people were so happy, we competed, but like, nobody was purposely creating storyline to get somebody off. The show just happened naturally. There was no purposeful vindictiveness going on to try to get people off, and I just think that I honestly, I was thinking about it the other day, and I just said to myself, I give myself And from that season, there was Evan, and there was some of the, more stronger guys. I give them the credit to keeping the energy positive, because I think that when you're in a position of power on these shows, you can be like an asshole, and you can kind of like just come off like egotistical and use it in a negative way, or you can create some sort of positive energy. And I think for a long time now, the challenge has allowed people to really give it a negative undertone, like stealing money, not sharing money, whatever it is. Like, it's like you're glorified for it. I mean, you shouldn't be glorified for that. Granted, I don't disagree with some people if they don't want to share their money, but it's like the way that they kind of make it look like it's all good and this person's great still. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure that going into the next challenge, if that's something on your future journey, I'm sure going into it as a mom now, it'll be interesting. Because
listen, I don't doubt that they're going to call some people that they know are strong women they're definitely going to, hopefully if they know what's best for them, MTV is going to call, all the people of color on their roster. You should put at least half of the season, half of the cast, or, at least 30% as, a minority. And I hope they give some people a break, to be honest. Like, give the people who have done 10 seasons back to back, give them a break, because they come on with all this.
So disperse that MTV money, good Lord.
Yeah. I mean, MTV money is getting better and better too. Like, I hear what some cast members are getting paid just to show up. And I'm like, literally, when they call me, by the way, they call me when I was pregnant. I tell them, no, I'm pregnant. Yeah. They've called me since. I actually just filmed a special that was supposed to air during this season. It's like a Universal Studios special, but I don't know, like, they haven't aired it yet. And I was actually going to write them and be like, is this still airing? Because I think with the climate of the country right now, I think they're like kiboshing like all their specials and all the stuff that they had planned, because they just don't know. I don't think the network necessarily knows how to handle their programming right now,
It's a tricky time. You have to know how to navigate, but you, at the same time, you don't know what's coming next or what's going to unravel next right now, because there's just so many moving parts going on in the world. So I feel like some people are going to stay on track, and some places are going to be on brand, some networks are going to be on brand, but I feel like a lot of people might miss the mark.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, if you would have told me 6 months ago that we were going to like be in a pandemic and my kids were not going to be in school for 3 months and all this stuff. And then if you told me, well, right at the tail end of the pandemic, there's going to be a huge, like, justice reform, like Black Lives Matter movement, and everything's going to come, like, and I would have been like, this is, what are you, like, writing a script for like a fiction movie? Like,
I asked you who your dealer was.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what that it sounds like what's going on is it just sounds like, wow, there's just so much intensity right now.
But you know what's surprising with all this intensity, which I'm all for, like, the Black Lives Matter movement, I don't mind I want this to last as long as it needs to, until justice is served and until there's police reform and until we've put some new, like, attorney generals, and God, please get rid of Barr as, running the Justice Department. That's a catastrophe. But, all these things, and there's definitely certain police unions that, when I look at them, you can see the, I don't know if you want to call it white supremacy, but you can see, that they're not necessarily. But Miami, for instance, Miami seems to be, I know the chief of police from Miami Beach. He's a great guy. Most of the cops I know in Miami are great guys. So
I have had my personal bodyguard since, I want to say for 13 years now. He's traveled with me. We've done millions of events together. He's family. He's a Nassau County cop.
Yeah.
And he is half Black and half Cuban.
Yeah.
When I showed up to the protest the other day, first thing I did was go into a Dunkin' Donuts and get Gatorade and water because I knew he was out there. And I went right up, and they watched me just run up to him and hug him because that's all I know to do. He's my family, so I'm going to hug him whether he's on the street protecting people or whether he's with me. And
Yeah.
gave him this bag of drinks, and him being the good guy that he is, he gave it to all of his partners. And
Yeah.
you know and so there are good cops out there. My grandfather was a good cop,
Yeah.
so he was the type of cop that he on Christmas Eve they caught this guy ransacking a car to steal for parts. And when they pulled him over and they said, "What are you doing? You can't do that. It's illegal. That we're going to arrest you." He said, it's Christmas Eve and I'm just trying to get money to pay for presents for my kids.
Yeah.
Father, the biggest heart ever. And in fact, he not only let him go, I think he gave him some money and was just like,
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's definitely good cops. I think that the thing that's really, most interesting in what's going on and never been brought to my attention is the budgets, I guess, for what these, the budgets for cops. I know, for instance, the public school and education here, if I can't send my kids to the public school in my district because, thankfully my wife has a second apartment home that's on Miami Beach where we are able to then send our kids to the same elementary school actually I went to as a kid. And if not, we'd have to go private because it's just like you can't put your kids in some of these situations. And that's not the case for the majority of the people. They don't have a choice. And, there has to be something done in terms of public education. There's got to be some sort of, equal distribution of, where the money's going to, and maybe the kids are bussed into different areas so that it's all diverse and diversifies it a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, all I know is that the police budget, when you hear about it and and now I'm kind of looking into it because I'm obviously reading up on what it means when they say defund the police. Yeah. And I'm noticing that, so many of the budgets are inflated so much that if we just took a little bit of money from that, we'd be so much better off as a community, so.
Right now, a lot of arts programs are suffering in school.
Yeah.
That's always a risk, especially in big cities like New York, Miami. It's a risk of losing these huge programs. But I find that the arts are needed now more than ever, especially with the quarantine and with the movement that's going on in the world. I feel like there's so much that's, that can be done. And I just know I've never been as proud to have played a character like Tracy, because of what it stands for. Yeah. So.
No, I hear you. I mean, it's like my favorite movie growing up. That and Crybaby. Hairspray and Crybaby.
Oh, well, there's a common denominator there, Ricki Lake. And you
can't
go wrong with Ricki.
I know.
I look at Ricki. I told her this too. I said, Ricki Lake, when I look at you, I can say, okay, I know that that's what I'll look like in at least like 30 years, and I am A-okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen her. I haven't really, honestly seen her in so long. I don't know what she looks like today.
Well,
but
she actually shaved her head because she had, hair thinning, and then I messaged her, and I said, oh my God, you look amazing. I was just diagnosed with alopecia, so it hit home for me because my hair just started thinning and falling out, and I was like, oh no. And of course, stress. What else?
Yeah.
But so seeing my idol literally make such a massive statement and say, I'm not going to let hair define me, was powerful for me. Who is an idol of yours growing up?
I'm trying to think, who. I mean, I think an idol, if you really want me to be honest, it's I'm Hillary Clinton. You can say whatever you want about her. Obviously she's one of those people that you can bring up and you have to really be ready for the pushback, because there's so many people who have such pushback. But I just feel like someone like Hillary Clinton, who was in such a public platform and used it for such positive change, And if you watch her special, if you watch anything on her, you know, I truly believe her heart is in the right place when she's doing things. And I mean, I would probably say her. And I remember being young. I remember being a kid and, you know, seeing her in the White House at a very young age. And I remember it. And I just think that, you know, she, and what she did, you know, even running for president and taking on someone as bullying as Trump, you know, I just thought watching her, and even having seen her lose, but give that speech the next day, and then for her to even just continue to move on. I just am inspired by that, because I can't imagine any greater loss in anyone's life than seeing her not get that at, you know, at the end, right? Because that was her, I mean, that was her moment, that was her calling. And it's like 3 years later, though, I've tried in my own head to kind of wrap my head around what was the message to that, and why did this happen, right? And the now, seeing 3 years later what we're seeing, the only thing I can come up with is that we were meant to see the disease in the country. Like we had to see the disease to know that we have to fix this now, or we have to at least be, you know, so much more proactive against it. Because I was living in a bubble in the Obama era, you know, I was in a happy bubble. Everything was great. White House was rainbow colors, you know, like things were nice. He won twice. Great. Like we're good, you know. I felt very confident that decisions that were being made were in the best interest of the American people. And now I just feel like, you know, I never thought that I had to worry about democracy in the United States. You know, I never thought that I had to worry about half the things that now I realize I really have to worry about. I never knew that white supremacy was as huge as it is in all these other places. Because to be honest, if you come to Miami, we are a melting pot here. There's not even really gay clubs, because everyone's just gay in whatever club they want to be in. Do you know what I mean? And there's not really like, we don't need any of those things, because everyone is so open and there's so many different cultures. And if you walk down the street, you're going to hear French on one side, you're going to hear Portuguese on the other side of you, you're going to hear, you know, you're going to hear so many different languages around you. And you know, that I just think, you know, you can kind of have like you don't really realize, me being in Miami, I don't think that I really realized what some people are going through in other places.
Yes, and I mean, my eyes were really opened when I realized, going back to Hillary Clinton and the Obamas for a second, because this reminded me of this story. I was asked to come and actually speak in front of Congress on how to, and because I don't know how, but I came up with a program with Congress on programs on what we can do to implement these type of organizations in schools for kids to learn how to stop bullying, stop it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
ways to bring it down a notch. And I mean, so people like Hillary and Michelle Obama have very much inspired me, because I've never wanted a political platform, ever. I don't. But at the same time, I think it's an important time to speak your mind. And,
Yeah.
you know, so I always know the difference between, I'm an actress, I'm not a politician, let's not get it confused. But at the same time, I'm going to make sure that if I can do something and be heard to make somebody's journey a little bit easier, because my journey in school as a plus size woman was not easy, Rachel.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know, listen, I hear you. I mean, I went to school, so I know what it's like for, you know, people that are, what'd you say?
You can be living hell.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you even continue, like, I think probably most people like just don't want to go to school anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I just, you know, the one thing that I think is good too about what's coming out of all of this is that finally people are openly talking about voting. I've been talking about voting since I was a kid. Like I used to do Rock the Vote tours. I've been to Long Island. I've been to every small town in this country because I do these speaking engagements as a MTV personality. And they would hire me to come in and basically register kids to vote. And I would talk about voting and the importance of it. And I do my best not to like be too whatever on one side or the other.
Yeah.
But my point is that finally, like, and I would say just now, I feel like I can openly talk about it and people aren't going to be like, we're good, Rachel. Like, you know, we like don't want to talk about voting or like, you know, whatever it is. It just is finally people are like, yes, this is important. Yes, you have to vote. And not only do you have to vote, but people are finally like, no, you cannot vote for this person. Like, this is not okay anymore, you know? Yeah. And for the longest time, I've kind of felt like I had to, you know, walk on eggshells in terms of not saying too much about what political party I associated with or what side of the, you know, what side of the coin I was on. And now I feel like that's out the window. Everybody wants to know, where do you stand on this? And if you don't stand with us, then like, you know, people are putting up memes like, I can be friends with people who have a difference of opinion, but I can't be friends with like racists, or I can't be friends with, you know, whatever it is, that all those memes that are going up. And I'm like, yes, thank you.
That's
because
what I was saying about that actor. Like, I can have a different opinion with you all day long, 24/7, 365. But if you are, I mean, if you have lunacy enough to, and the balls right now, to put a gun on your Instagram page, guess what, sweetheart? I don't play those games.
I mean, I have such,
and
yeah,
at such a time. So I think it's important for people to stick to their convictions right now.
yeah, me too.
To how you feel and go with it and ride it all the way.
I agree 100%. I mean, I'm so crazy like about guns that, you know, when you're raising kids, there's a lot of toy guns that kind of get thrown into play. And some of my most progressive friends, like I'll go to like, you know, someone's house that I wouldn't think would necessarily have so many toy guns for their sons or their daughters or whoever. And, you know, I quickly, and I actually really do, and I'm talking even water guns, like I'll say put them away. Like, I don't want my kids playing with the shape of a gun. I don't want them playing with it. I don't want them thinking that there's anything normal about holding it up and shooting it at someone. Like, there's just something about it that really sits very weird for me. And
I agree.
I do think it's an interesting thing and something that should be brought up because, you know, there are a lot of people who are against guns and, you know, or against guns for leisure. And but your kids play with guns or your kids, you know, do it. And I just think that, you know, I'm really weird about, there's not many things I'm weird about. I mean, I let my kids, they're pretty happy kids and they get to play with whatever they want. But when it comes to guns, I'm not, I hide them, you know, I take them and like, I put them in the back so they don't see them.
I mean, you know, I am always open to learning new things about certain things and expanding my mind and certain things. Okay, maybe I can be, you know, taught to just maybe be a little more open-minded, but guns and violence are something that I'll never budge on.
Yeah. I think we're pretty aligned, Nikki.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it is what it is, and I've seen you on the challenges, and you're extremely progressive. And as a member of the LGBT community, you just have my hat goes off to you. I just respect you so much because as a woman, I see you doing great things, and it's very inspiring. It is, and I'm not blowing smoke. I'm telling you truly how I feel because I see a lot of people out there don't necessarily use their platforms for the best, and it can get a little redundant after a while. But you're very much like me, and we like to walk the tightrope of, you know, what's right, but we also don't want to create unnecessary drama as well.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we're people pleasers. I mean, the thing that I can say is that, you know, one of the things I am proud about is, like you said, I created a life outside of this for myself, which is way more rewarding than anything I've ever had from TV or fame or money or whatever it is that was, you know. And when this pandemic hit, I'm obviously a trainer in Miami, and I didn't really know what to do with, I didn't know what to do with myself. Like, you know, the pandemic hit, we were told on Friday, or we were told, I think it was a Saturday. I don't know. We were told basically that Monday that there was going to be no classes anymore.
Yeah.
So, hold on. Can you see me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I didn't know this when I started my lives, because I'm doing that now, obviously, on my Instagram. You know, I started it just because I didn't know what to do with myself on a Monday morning without fitness. I was like, okay, like, I gotta reach out to my clients. I have to stay. I want to work out. I need to sweat. I need to release some energy. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to go live at 9:30. It'll be totally you know, I didn't even know what I was going to, I knew how I wanted to do it. I knew I wanted music. I knew it wanted to be upbeat. I knew I wanted it to be 30 minutes and like hardcore and get into it. But it just, you know, like started rolling through, and people just started coming on like crazy. And 2 weeks in, I started saying, okay, guys, like donation wise, like if you want to donate to this workout. And all I have to say is that what I created in this small amount of time in terms of just fitness for people in when they didn't have their gyms and they didn't have anything to do, it let me know that what I've been doing for the last however many years in my life all led me up to this moment for me, because now I'm reaching thousands of people a day. I've got so many people that are loving the workouts, and I don't want to stop. I literally had to tell, you know, I had to tell the place that I was working at before, I'm going to come back part-time because I want to make this a priority. I want to make, you know, and I'm keeping it free. I'm keeping it on a free platform because I feel like so many people lost their jobs, and so many people don't have the money, and so many people, or they don't have as much money. So it's like, I kind of leave it up to whatever people can give. And it's been absolutely amazing to see the support from people, and, you know, how much people love it. And it gives me so much, because there's nothing I love more than to share these workouts with people. And, you know,
I've been in my backyard dancing to Oops, I Did It Again and the Pussycat Dolls. I've been going hard. I dance with Twitch from Ellen. He's one of my
good.
friends from Hairspray. But also, I just find that right now, while there's been a lot of sadness and tough times, there's also been some really cool things that have happened. We did,
Yeah.
I know the Hairspray family, we all got together and did a You Can't Stop the Beat video with like almost every single person that's ever been in Hairspray.
Yeah.
And we all got, and I think it's raised like close to $10 million for the actors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I joined a show. We gave our salaries to the Actors Fund, shot it on Zoom, and now on Cameo. Are you on Cameo?
I'm not on Cameo, but I know all about it.
I mean, if you want a referral code, I'll send it your way. I can't tell you. I think I've done close to 4,000 of them now.
Really?
Yes. And this month, for Pride Month, I'm personally giving a percentage of every single cameo to Trans in Color.
Good. Yeah, I mean, like I did the same thing with the workouts. I did the 2 days where I donated the money, and I was shocked. I mean, it was only 2 days, but we raised $5,000. I mean, so much to where they just cut off my credit card. I started signing on to, like, you know, I kind of spread out the money into a bunch of different organizations. So of course I did the NAACP, I did the ACLU, but then I did a lot of smaller ones. And I remember towards like the last one, they're like, can you call us to let us know this is really you?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't going through. But yeah, there's been amazing things to come out. I'm sure these organizations have never seen the kind of donations coming into them right now. I mean, Minnesota Freedom Fund basically had to tell people, like, we're good, like, give to other people, because they had so much come in. I mean, like the George Floyd family, they have, like, I think their goal was 1.5. They were at 10 million last time I looked. Like, it's just crazy how much people are supporting. So, you know, it's amazing. I think there is so much positive that has come out. And I do think that this reset of all of us in our lives is something positive. I've never spent so much time with my kids. I mean, it's just been amazing, you know?
I've never spent so much time in this damn back room, I'll tell you what. I feel
I
like
bet.
it's
I bet. Yeah.
oh god.
Well, this
But
was,
I just have to tell you, I respect you immensely and thank you for shining your light into this world.
oh, well, Nikki, I'm so happy to connect with you. And, you know, I'm definitely going to follow you. So can't wait to see all the things that you're going to be in and do. After this, I'm going to be like, that's my friend.
Are
That's
you
my
kidding me?
friend.
Yesterday, you ready for this? This is how nuts it's been lately. I don't know how it's happened because we took a week off of the podcast in solidarity of what happened and respect.
Yeah.
Now we're like doing almost 2 a day, which is great. I'm one of those freaks that like love to strive under pressure. Like, give me all of
Yeah.
it. So yesterday, my publicist calls me. She goes, "I need the video for Chicago Pride." I'm like, "Okay." So I did a video. I sang "Valerie" by Amy Winehouse. Sent it over.
Uh-huh.
She's like, "Now I need the video for Long Island Pride." I'm like, "All right." Go on Spotify, pick a song. I did Cher's Shoop Shoop song.
Amazing.
It's also my home. I did Home by Michael Bublé, and I was like,
Yeah.
send those out, you know. And so
Good.
right now, it's really cool, and especially being Pride Month, I couldn't be more proud to have you here today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It means so much. And, you know, I know this Pride is a little bit different this year, but I am definitely like, I definitely want to, you know, address it in some way on my own social channels. And I'm definitely going to share this to everyone. So I'm sure everyone's going to get a bunch of inside scoop information from us.
Well, happy
And
Pride, everybody.
yeah, happy Pride. And yeah, it's just been, you know, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where we go from here. It's sad. It's definitely sad that there's not going to be any parades. Like, I wish we could be like, yo, reset, like
I'm
Pride.
doing a few online prides.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I mean, I just know like the in-person, like the, you know what I mean? But it's like, that would be like that would be like the anti-pandemic. Like, it's like people on top of each other. No one has clothes on. Everybody's sweaty, especially like New York. You know, I grew up in the Chelsea Hotel, by the way. So I'm a New Yorker.
I did a photo shoot there.
Yeah, I was born, my mom was living there at the time. My mom was a photographer. My mom's super cool. And she was a single, she had me as a single mom, and we lived there till I was 5. And then we came to Miami. But like, I remember growing up, and I was actually really good friends with Gabby. What's her last name? Why am I drawing a blank? She was in a bunch of movies. Gabby. Anyway, she was in that movie with the 4 girls where they were all kind of like coming of age, like growing up. Gabby Hoffman.
Okay.
Gabby Hoffman.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Gabby Hoffman. We were best friends in the Chelsea Hotel. She was living there at the time too. I think that's her last name.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So New York's like, there's nothing like New York, you know. That's why it does hurt me to like know that New York's taken such a hit during this. But if anybody knows New York, you know they'll be back.
Oh, for sure. And in my humble opinion, it's the heartbeat of the world. So
It is. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. Stay
Thank you so much, Nikki. I can't wait to.
Those adorable babies. My God, they're adorable.
I hear them. They're like waking up. I kind of want like one of them to come in the room so I could be like, Nikki.
Well,
but
please send me pictures.
I will. I'll be in touch for sure. I'll keep in touch.
Stay well.
Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
So lovely, and I'm so glad that we had her on because she speaks such knowledge. Rachel is extremely enlightened and progressive, but she's like me where we want to make sure our message is heard, but we don't want to be like in everybody's faces and rah, 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 you know, like we want to make sure we're doing the right thing. And Rachel, you are, and you're a wonderful mom and a wonderful wife, and you inspire me immensely, more than you know. So thank you so much. Happy Pride, everybody. You know, yesterday was singing a bunch of tunes for Pride, as you heard. So, and again, hop over to Cameo. Like I said, a portion of the proceeds are all going to Trans in Color this month, and each month we are going to be giving myself from the Nikki Nights team. We're personally going to be giving it to a different charity every month. So that's, you can follow me on Instagram at Nikki Blonsky. Again, thank you so much, you guys, for tuning into my podcast and listening to the things that me and my guests feel are important. You know, it's important right now for people with a platform to use it, and I will always vow to use mine for good and equality and love for every single human being on the face of this planet. I love you all. Have a wonderful day.